The following is a special presentation of Tony Kurre Radio.
Welcome back to UAB Director's Chair. I'm Tony Kurre. He is the athletic director for your UAB Blazers. Mark Ingram. Mark, how you doing, brother? Everything good?
Oh, excellent. Yeah, man. Thanks.
Fantastic, man. Happy January to you. February coming around the corner. And, of course, we can talk about the transfer portal coming up in a few minutes. I want to talk about Alex Mortensen, of course, also your basketball program doing quite well into the season as well. I saw this survey that just came out this morning from the U.S. Center for Safe Sport. And it says most of America's youth sports coaches are feeling burned out and fed up with the verbal harassment and abuse, mainly from parents of athletes. The challenge of managing parents ranks among the top reasons coaches have considered leaving or decided to quit, with one coach saying of parents, they create tension, they instill distrust, they were worse than the children were. Other reasons for coaches' disaffection included retirement, challenges within their sporting organizations. More than 35% of respondents said they'd also experienced discrimination based on sex, age, and physical appearances from other coaches, as well as parents of athletes. The survey results add to an already troubling picture about the future of youth sports, with coaches joining game officials and questioning whether the hassles outweigh the joys of the job. I want to get your thoughts. Obviously, you're in college, so I'm sure you deal with some parents of some kids, maybe not at that level, because most coaches that are at littler leagues are much more accessible than college coaches are and thing. But can you talk a little bit about that and where that's headed?
Yeah, I mean it's a national problem. It breeds the entitlement of our children. That's a bad thing. You can see it in youth sports where parents get too involved. We always told our kids if they didn't play, we said, well, then go ask the coach why you don't play.
Yeah.
You ask the coach, what do you need to do to be better? We didn't want to be involved in. So a lot of that was the way I was raised, and it was also a part of the fact that what I do for a living, I didn't want to be seeming like that overbearing, that that guy's the AD, And so we never spoke to a coach. I mean, not never, but almost never. And I don't know if they liked that or thought I was aloof because of it. Maybe they wanted me to be more involved, but I doubt it. And so what happens is that moves out of youth sports and straight into college now. My parents would have never called my coach and never would have called the AD. Now parents will call, they'll skip me. They skip the head coach. They skip me. They'll call the president. And it always comes down to playing time, always. Now, what they lead with is the coach is verbally abusive. The coach, said or did a thing or overtrained or undertrained or, there's something that the coach is terrible at and needs to be addressed. I had a parent say to me one time that their child was late for practice and didn't tell the coach they were going to be late for practice. Now, the reason they were late for practice, they were meeting with a professor, which I think is a perfectly fine reason to be late for practice. But you got to tell the coach.
Yeah.
And this is in the modern era of, smartphones, so it's not like they can't communicate. Shows up late for practice. The coach dresses them down a little bit about being late for practice, like, hey, this isn't, an activity. This is a Division I team where we intend to be better and win. It's not just a fun thing that you get to do with an instant friend group. And so the parent described that as your coach intentionally embarrassed and publicly humiliated my child. Your coach intentionally publicly humiliated my child, and they now have anxiety about going to practice, and they're seeking counseling because of it.
Jeez, man. Come on.
And they were serious, and said, where I work, we would fire people for this, and I don't know if that's what you're going to do, but I just tell you that. And I was like, I'm trying not to laugh at you. I was really trying hard not to laugh at them in their face, and they were so serious about this. I was like, what are you talking about? And then another parent came to see me, and I'm talking about got on an airplane, mom and dad, to come see me because their child had quit the team. And I guess the team was a kind of a smaller team and used like a group chat to communicate.
Yeah.
And because the season wasn't over, but nonetheless, the child had quit and they were removed from the group chat. And that's why they came to see me. Got on an airplane,
Jeez, man. That's crazy.
flew to Birmingham to meet with me. And you go, well, Mark, why did you meet with them? Well, because they're smart. I got a note. I'm worried about, I'm seriously concerned about the welfare of my child. I need to speak to you at once.
Okay. Yeah, what are you going to do?
What are you gonna do? I don't know what they're talking about. I got to
Yeah.
take that call, or I got to, I'm on my way. I'll see you in I'll see you in an hour. I'll be there. I have to see. God, what? And I'm worried, like legitimately worried. And then what I receive is, my child seeks counseling now because your coach publicly humiliated them for being late because they
That's
raised their
crazy.
voice.
Yeah.
Because they raised their voice and said, we have expectations. I mean, this happens, and it happens all over the place. You recall, wasn't the basketball player at UCLA, was his name LaMelo Ball and his dad
Mhm.
Lonzo Ball, and
Yeah.
he's got two
Yeah. The
brothers.
Ball family. Yeah.
I haven't heard anything out of dad in a long time, but remember when he was at UCLA, like, I mean, there was as much news on SportsCenter about something he had said or done as there was the player. Can you imagine what that was like for the coaches?
Yeah, and the family seems to be doing pretty well. I guess they got a couple of guys
Right.
playing, but so that was kind of a rarity, though. You normally don't see that. But
You
yeah, the
know,
ESPN was all of his, and his
but there
the
are a
father.
lot of very involved parents that we don't know about, but they're very involved.
And it's really funny too because the best players in the world, and I saw LeBron James' kid Bryce playing on Arizona. He doesn't play for he's on the team, but he doesn't play any time. But it was neat to see him, see LeBron James' kid
Yeah.
on the floor at the BJCC when Arizona played Alabama, and you see these guys, and they give their kids space. Like the best guys in the world don't get on. Like I'm pretty sure Deion Sanders, who I want to talk about in a second, pretty much lets Shador do his thing, and in the Sanders family, and kind of stays out of their way as far as
Yeah. It appears that way. Yes.
yeah. Now I may be totally wrong, and I know that some people are trying to link him up with the Cleveland Browns job. I don't think that's going to happen. Speaking of the devil, Deion Sanders is going to start fining Colorado players $500 for being late to practice. Your thoughts?
Good.
You can do that, right?
You cannot, under the current system, you can't technically fine them, but you can reduce next month's earnings based on reputational damage. And so we do it. We've been doing it. Well, we've been doing it since July, since the revenue sharing became a thing, because you've got to find ways to, if you punish kids for being late the way I would have been punished, which is running, well, now that's, dangerous, hazing, torturing them, putting them in an unhealthy condition to be overexerted and all that. So you can't make them run after practice anymore. And so it's like, well, what can we do? Well, they like their money,
Yeah.
maybe not unlike the NFL, since we're paying them an obscene amount. Well, then if they don't go, because like what the kids don't get is if I say, Tony, you're struggling in Spanish, we got you a Spanish tutor, which we pay for.
Mhm.
They're going to be at the academic facility tonight at 6 o'clock, ready to meet you. Okay, great. And then you don't show up. Guess who still has to pay the tutor?
Yeah, you do. Yeah, exactly.
And you, the student, are still doing bad in Spanish.
Yeah.
And so we have for 5 years probably figured out a way to kind of make the kid pay a penalty for not showing up. We ought to make them pay for the whole thing, but we don't. But we $10 or something, $15 we would take out of their next check. And yeah, so we do that. If they're late for practice, or they're like you can't have it both ways. You can't, I want to be treated like an adult. I've got an
Hmm.
agent. I want to negotiate a contract and then flip it and go, oh, I didn't understand the contract.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't read the contract. Well, hey man, talk to your agent. You got representation. Well, I didn't know I needed that. I need to know well, that's not my job to, at this point. At what point is it my job to make sure that they're having somebody else read the contract that they chose on their own not to read? I didn't tell them to not read the contract.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think Dion's just making it public, and he's able to. Again, it's not technically a fine, but he's able to fine them at a higher level because they make more. And so he's trying to make it a meaningful sum. So he clearly was having a problem with it, which is why they're doing it.
$500, some chomps now. Info at TonyCurryRadio.net. An email from Kevin from Southside wants to know, I always heard that if the players would start getting paid, there was no longer going to be a reason to give them scholarships. What's up with scholarships, paying players? If players are making millions of dollars a year, why are we giving them scholarships?
Yeah, they're still on scholarships. Yeah, we're still paying.
Why?
So all the money that you hear, the kids are getting, it's that plus their scholarship.
Why?
They're still getting that.
Well, I mean, why?
Well, they got to go to college. And if I didn't pay for them to go to those classes, I'm not certain that they would enroll in those classes. Right. And I'm not sure if they did enroll in those classes, would they pay the bill?
Yeah.
Even though everybody always, again, they put it back on the athletic department. Like, are you giving them financial literacy training and all that? Well, we do. The answer is yes, we do. Do you tell them about taxes? We do repeatedly. That doesn't mean that they're going to be responsible and withhold money because they don't get it's not withheld the way it is, say, for out of my check. I have a withholding. They get a 1099. So they got to plan for that.
Yep.
And if they don't plan for it because they wasted the money on things that they don't really need, that's a painful reality the following, next April when they got to pay the federal government, that tax. So it's the same thing here. I don't know that they would be responsible enough to write the check to the university.
Yeah.
And so then when the kid leaves after a semester or two, who gets stuck with that bill?
Can you explain to me, and I'll use Darian Mensah from Duke as an example because his name's been in the news a lot. And of course, they figured out a deal where he's no longer going to stay at Duke, despite the fact that he signed in the offseason a 2-year, $8 million deal to be the Duke Blue Devils quarterback, and he's getting a degree at Duke. And for some reason, he wants to go to Miami. I don't get that. I would think that degree would be worth anything more than $8 million over the course of your life, over the course of your career. Anyhow. Yeah. Say UAB quarterback's making $2 million a year. How does he get paid? Does he get paid every week? Where does it come from? Is it already taxed? How does that work?
Well, it's not already taxed. So we have a revenue share account that flows to them. They get paid monthly. Most places do monthly. There are some teams, and it's not a school decision. It's a team decision that they pay quarterly instead.
Throughout the entire year or just the season?
For the academic year.
Gotcha.
And then for us, and again, this will be different school by school, but for UAB, we treat the summer differently. So if, again, using smaller numbers, Tony, if we said we're going to give you $50,000 this year, that actually does not include summer, which we do more in the summer. We pay for your school, and there's some stipend that goes to you in the summer. So that number is really a 9-month number, call it August through April, but usually it's monthly.
I can't imagine. I would think the kids would have a little extra pep in their step if they're come walking into the locker room on payday.
Sure. But it's tough when they don't play, right? So like you're paying them a number. I'm paying you $100,000 a year, and you get beat out by a guy that doesn't get paid anything beyond his scholarship.
Yeah.
Well, you play the same position, you're in the same room, and you're making $100,000. That's a tough deal, and that happens in the NFL, right? You have that happen, but I don't know, as slightly older, more mature players, that probably, there's some mouthiness, but they manage that because they're able to through a mature, hopefully more mature, person, and how they manage their own emotions. But we're talking about children here.
I know, man. It's so wild.
Who've never lived away from home ever.
I know. And they're transferring to 3 or 4 different schools. They're moving to different areas. They're meeting new people, and all of a sudden they're getting a $10,000 check at the end of the month. I don't know. I'm pretty sure I know what I'd be doing if I had, even more. I mean, if you're talking about millions of dollars a year, you're talking a $150,000 check at the end of January. Well, I as a student, I wouldn't even know. I can't even comprehend that kind of cash.
Yeah,
and what I'd probably do with it.
right.
Um,
Yeah,
yeah,
but a kid that's making 100 doesn't know that really 100's not 100. It's more like 65.
yeah.
And now you got to live. So when you blow through that 100,
How does that play out? I mean, I see Shedeur Sanders driving a $170,000 Mercedes and stuff like that, and I see that. But do these kids that are making big bucks? Do they have big houses? Do they buy? In some cases, you must live on campus, correct? If you're playing
in
football.
most places you have to live on campus as a freshman, but there's very few schools, and there are some, but there's very few schools where you live there all 4 years. The military academies, but they don't get any of this money. Um, I know Mercer over in Macon, Georgia. All those kids live on campus. Every student there lives on campus. So I think there's probably some, for a variety of reasons, and I don't know what they are, where students do live on campus. But boy, those are not the rule. That's the exception.
Yeah.
Most kids, once they're past their freshman year, live off campus. That's the majority of the transfer kids. They're all upperclassmen. I would think that buying a house would be unwise, but I'm sure they rent really nice places. They're
There's
not living where I live.
no,
I
it's
tell you
not. It's
that.
not Animal House. That's the
It
truth.
ain't Animal House.
That's crazy. UAB
It is
athletic
not the
director
Del Tal. What was it? The
Deltas. Yeah,
Delta Tau Chi.
pledge pin. You have a pledge pin.
The new Delta
Uh,
Tau Chi name is Mothball.
Mark Ingram, the UAB athletic director. Go to UABsports.com, UABsports.com. We catch up with him every single week. How's the basketball program going on? I'd be remiss to mention I've been up to here in work and stuff, so I have not got a chance to come down and see a basketball game in the last couple of weeks. So tell me about the program, how we're looking, and as we get set, because March Madness is here in about a month.
Yeah, we won a nice road game again last night against San Antonio. San Antonio, if you look at their record, you'd say is not very good. The environment to play at San Antonio is tough, and it's not because of a crowd size. Well, it is because of the crowd size, but it's not because the crowd size is big. The gym is kind of like a high school, and there's like nobody there, and so there's zero energy in the building. It's a
Really?
really tough place to play for that reason. You might say, "Oh, Memphis is hard to play because there's a big crowd and it's loud, or whatever," which is true. This is like equally hard, but for an opposite reason, which is kind of funny.
Wow.
They were just like, look, they got the band and they got some music, but there's like nobody there and there's nothing going on, and you feel like you're kind of at an organized scrimmage, and you got to kind of create your own, momentum and enthusiasm, and it's tough. So anyway, we won that game. We have another road game at North Texas this weekend. North Texas for gosh, 8 years probably has been an incredibly strong defensive team, and they continue to be. So they'll be really physical. That's what they are. They're going to bang you around. And we've been really good on the road. I think we're undefeated on the road in conference play, and but haven't won a home game
Yeah.
in conference play, which has been tough, and it's frustrating. But look, we're picking up wins, however we're picking them up, and still got about 10 to play. So there's an opportunity to really finish strong, and the team. There are moments, Tony, where I watch the team. I feel like I've said this before. I know I've said it to people. Um, there's moments where I think, man, we can play with and maybe beat anybody in the league, and then there's moments where I'm like, we're
Yeah.
not going to win another game,
Yeah.
and that's kind of the where God bless Andy Kennedy and his staff. They're just like because they see that same thing too. They know what ability the team does have. They're pretty scrappy most of the time, not always, but most of the time, and I think they play hard. Like I've even heard in games where I know that the coaches are super frustrated. I've heard them in the locker room privately say, you know, I think your effort is strong.
Mhm.
But if it's not, coaches will say,
Oh,
you,
yeah.
you guys didn't give the effort you needed to give tonight to win. I haven't heard Andy say that yet. So I know he feels like their effort is there. It's just, it's execution. He said in his press conference last week, he said something, I'm gonna get this wrong, but I'm close. I think what he said was they track, this is not on the stat sheet, but they track clean looks, which is we ran a play, we designed a play, passed Tony the ball, and we set it up to where you were gonna be open to shoot. You were open to shoot, and you made or missed the shot.
Gotcha.
Okay. Clean looks. And I think Andy said that he's never had a team that was under 50% on clean looks. And we were at that time under 35%.
Wow.
And he's like,
So the
we
plays
got
are
to
the
make
plays
shots,
are
guys.
yeah,
You're
the play.
Division I basketball players. We practice this every day. You got to make those shots, and we're a little roller coaster on the free throws, though we have improved there dramatically since the beginning of the season. But we have our nights, and last night, I don't know what the percentage was. We weren't strong last night at the free throw line. So look, you're never going to be perfect there, but if you can get to the high 70s and stay there and always be in the high 70s, that's kind of an acceptable range on free throws.
Yeah.
Problem is, there's some nights where like 60%. You can't be there.
Yeah. Scott Birmingham, info at TonyCurryRadio.net. Loves the show, listens every single week, wants to know the developments on the expansion of March Madness. I know that they're going to keep it at 12 right now in college football because the Big Two can't get out of their own ways. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
But what do we decide about expanding March Madness? Is that happening this year, next year? What's the next step?
Well, it won't be this coming season, but what you're hoping is that they'll expand for the following season. I think I've shared before, I don't agree with this mindset or methodology or the why here, but I think they ought to double the field. The problem is that the Masters golf tournament, which occupies television, is a great event, starts Monday after the Final Four. Well, the Final Four, the championship game, happens Monday, and I think that is day one of the practice rounds for the Masters, which the official tournament begins Thursday. And so they act like, oh man, we can't impede the Masters coverage. And my whole thing is, you can't tell me that we can conduct the first four in Dayton and we can't, and the NIT, they can figure out a way to get people playing on Monday or Tuesday after the selection show, but the NCAA tournament can't do it. We could double the field. It's one more game. It's just one game. But they're afraid to do that I think it's a chicken reason, but it is what it is. But I think they will expand. Our hope is that they expand to get people like UAB in. Unfortunately, they will expand so that they can get the 9th ranked ACC team in or something.
Sure.
And, those are the teams, and these are the same teams that don't want to go to the NIT. We're trying to get into the NIT, right? It's hard for us to get into the NIT, and those teams don't get in. Well, or they get in and then they sometimes opt out. Well, here's why. Because they're given so much favor in terms of the strength of their schedule, they can be ranked 8th or 9th in their league, don't go to the NCAA tournament, but they get asked to come to the NIT, and then they say no. Well, the reason they say no is they had a bad year.
Yeah.
They were 500 or barely 500 or not 500 in their tournament play or their conference play, and they're ready to be done. Kids are done. They didn't have a good year,
Yeah.
But that's not the case. We will have won 20 games and trying, hoping to get into the tournament, the NIT. And when we get it, we've had a good year. It's just an interesting.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, and I mean, it just depends on. Do you hang a banner for an NIT? I think a UAB would be proud to do that. Sure, but I know some.
Well, we have one banner. We have one banner, and it lists the years that we were in the NIT.
Yeah. So you have it. All right, my man. Good stuff. We'll catch up next week. UABsports.com, UABsports.com for everything that is UAB Sports. And as always, I appreciate your time. Next week, I'll throw some classic rock at you.
I love it. Thank you.
I appreciate you and everything you do. UABsports.com. Thank you, Mark. We'll talk next week.
Go Blazers.
This has been a special presentation of Tony Curry Radio.